as promised, and I haven't forgotten, I'm going to go through this door. So obviously, catch edge, two-door Range Rover, a couple of areas of rot in the outer skin which I cut out, one area of rot in the inner skin which I cut out and then welded a big bastard plate in there. Now, where the area is flat, there is no real concern. You just mark out the template, cut out a bit of steel, seam weld it in. This ridge here, I'm going to leave as it is. This ridge here, I need to recreate. So how do I do that? Well, I start with a trusty template. So literally just marked around the edge of the hole with my finger, grubby finger, end up with a very, very, very rough template. Then line it up and mark roughly where the where the ridge needs to go. Okay, now the ridge doesn't need to go across the whole direction. If you notice that the ridge just gets shallower and shallower as it gets towards the edge, but it really it's the same depth to about there, and then it tails right off. So I'm going to have to do something, hopefully not with too much filler, that will get that shape reproduced. And then obviously once I've done it all, I can drill some holes through the repair section and plug weld it onto here and then seam it around the outside. And then hand it over to Steve for some paint. That lump of snot there was just one tiny little pinhole on the edge of this. And as you can see, I cut this back quite a long way, peeled this up, just to double check that the underneath was in good order. There was one area where it did create a pinhole and I just filled it with a plug of weld. Bloody great big lump of weld. Now, this chap, it's a swaging tool. It's going to be difficult to show you exactly what I'm going to do with this thing. But your best bet with it is to practice with some steel. Just get any old lump of steel, which I haven't actually got here. That's an excellent piece of planning, Richard. What I've basically got on here is a pair of dies. And the dies come in many different shapes and forms. Let's get this box out here. It's got Giles' broken power steering pump. Right. There we go. Nice big box of all manner of dies. Now basically, in this box comes a manual, but you end up with matched pairs of dies. Okay, so I put 3 dots on that one, and I put 2 dots. I probably could actually stamp them, it'd be a lot easier. That's a cutting disc. That's a cutting disc. Those 2 go as a pair, basically to cut through steel. It's not that effective, it's a bit Chinesian. But effectively, what you end up doing is you end up with a pair of dies like that, and as you roll it through, it puts a step in the metal. It's like a very, very, very fancy joddler. You can also create little ribs as well. Nice idea. And I'll go through some of the other bits and bobs that this does. But first and foremost, what I really need to do is to create this step back onto this piece of steel. So first and foremost, let's give it an arrow. Let's work out. There's no direction yet, so we will work with that direction. Okay, now right in the middle of a piece of steel here, I'm going to do a load of trimming back once it's all done. So I need my line to be pretty much straight across the middle here. Okay, now having done that, let's just measure it. 4.1. How about that? Right, okay, that was just a complete fucking guess, that was. The next thing I need to do is to work out, because those are the outside edges of the repair section. So I'm probably going to need to get myself a chunk of steel and get myself organised with which way I want to fold this. So let me just go and get a piece of steel. So on here, I've set the 2 dies up, so there is a gap in here. You can see the gap between one edge and the other edge. And I'm rather hoping that's going to recreate, when I roll a piece of steel through it, recreate basically the pitch that I need. Now, you can roll the steel through whichever way you want. So I can roll it that way, but I can also roll it this way, if you get my drift. So you're fairly flexible, but you can see that's created quite a vicious looking step there. What I really wanted to do then was to find out if the step was about right, and it is. So we know that the step is about right. So what I'm going to have to do now, I think, is I'm basically going to work, if I were a sculptor, but then again, no, I'm going to roll it up until about there. I'm going to roll the steel up until about there, because I want to have basically able to work this section here so I can create a ramp or create less of a ridge. So we'll create this one first of all. Back over to the roller, position my line against the top roller, the inside, and using the line that I've created, roll it. As you see, I got excited, didn't I? Doesn't matter, because steel is quite soft. I can always cut another piece of steel. But here, and this is pretty much how I did it before. It's just really, it's like working with pastry. Just basically creating a ramp there. Now I'm going to still need to trim this. All I'm really doing is creating the ridge. Now I need to create the other ridge, but I don't want it to be like that, do I? I was just going to be stepping up again. I want it to step down. So by turning it around, because remember this piece of steel went through the machine forwards and backwards here like this. By turning the whole thing around, I'm going to get the ramp for the other side. Now what I need to do is to line up, really what we need to do is to line up the top roller with a line that I've not drawn yet, which is the top edge of the ramp. So let me, you're not watching, why are you not watching? You've got to pay attention. If you don't pay attention you won't see what's going on. So let me just create a line just inside. Okay, so create a second line. I'm going to run the roller, top roller, in line with my new line. And now I'm rather open. Hang on about a second. I've done this wrong, Richard. You nearly did it wrong then. I need to do it like that. No, I don't. I don't need to use a second line. This is what I need to think, you see. So now, having done that one, if I turn it around and run, let me just draw a line on here just to work out. So I'm going to create a very, very, very small step. If I line the top roller up with that and roll in through, it's gone the wrong way again because I did it wrong. Now let's do it this way round now. Trouble is this piece of metal is now got itself so fucking well, it does work, doesn't it? But I used the original line. So let me now, I did it that way, now it wants to be that way, using the original line that I drew, my 4 centimetre line. Just adjusting the metal above the giant slot. Well, it's created the right sort of rib. Does it line up? It's probably not bad. I can adjust to a certain extent. I can put bring that edge down a little bit. The other side fits nicely. Right, okay, so now we're finished with that strap. Let me got to be easier ways of straightening out. I know. Bit of I-beam, and now when we look down here we can see that it slopes and then it ramps down. Right, with that in mind, position this back over the top again. And I'm going to want to be, right, what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to cut the template out, because I hadn't actually cut the edges off yet. Bluntest knife in the world. In the world. Right. There's and we've got that bit up there because my hole was a bit funny, not funny, haha. And then like that, and it looks like we've got a stripe here. If this goes wrong, then, you know, again, I will just make another template. Just double check this roughly fits in here. It does roughly fit in there, but that needs to cut along there. And then it needs to cut along here. Along there. Pardon me, hickety uppities. Along here, because this is where the handle goes through this bit here, and along there. Right. Now let's see what it looks like. Does it look like it's going to fit in there? It does. So what I really want to do next is just cutting out the bits where the handle goes, which is this lot here. Ah, Mr. Gravity. It's been a while. Just very sketchy. So that wants to go like that. That wants to go like that. Handle. Which, if I can read my writing, isn't it? And that goes back in over here. And right, just this bit here needs cutting back a little bit further. Right, now that's good. So my next thing that I need to do with this is, there's no point me laying this on top of here, is where I was going with this, because it is, how am I going to do this? What I'm going to do is I'm going to be bold, because I know that this bit is good from that line down. Okay, I know that this bit is good from the line up. With me? So let's work on the only straight edge we got on here, which is, in fact, what we're going to have to do here, because I want to utilise the ramp I've just fashioned. So let's do it about there. There's going to be plenty of trimming. Don't worry, folks. Plenty of trimming. Now, while I'm drawing around the outside of it here, and you can see that it is really rough, I am going to then just use the shears just to chop these edge bits out and see if I can get that sorted out. As I frequently say, if I fuck it up, and I start again. Come over to the tiny bench. Right, okie doke. So I'm going to cut outside these lines. Because then I can trim afterwards. Urigella. I'm going to be a bastard doing that because by running it through here I'm just going to end up flattening it, so I'm going to leave the ramp as it is. I don't even know if you can see. Can you see? Oh, God. It's a good job I tidied the bench up, wasn't it, Richard? Yes, you can sort of see. Bollocks. Right, and then got that one. And we've got now I am going to cut this straight along the line. Right, we end up with something a bit like that. It's a bit distorted because it's been through the cutter. So next, let's go and see roughly if we can make it fit. First and foremost, I need to just flatten these edges off. Then to the door, and we drop it into place, and well, the top section seems to fit, and also you can see that where the line was is where the ramp needs to go to. So I think what I'm going to probably need to do here, this is going to need more chopping off it. Let me just figure this out for 2 seconds. What I might need to do is pop you over here, get me pencil. So I want to take that off. I want to take that off. That's good. That's good. That needs to come off up there. And then from here to... Right, what we've basically got along this bottom edge here is it's not entirely straight. So, how are we going to do that? I can either cut this straight, but that might be the easy way of doing it, is just to cut this straight. Because when I trim that back. Let me hold all this lot in place to start off with. So that's all held in place. So that was there. Don't want to trim that. I do want to trim that. Trim that a millimetre. Trim that. Trim that. Right. Give me 1 minute, please, chappies. What I could do, I could bring the door over here now. Now I'm not messing around with the swaging machine. You can watch me clank, clank, fucking clank down here. So it's lined that up. Right, so I cut a little bit too much off there, but that doesn't matter. I can work with that. You just trim this edge here. Because I can always, now I've done this, I can make another one of these, you see. Oh! Then I need to fuck off and fix the dishwasher at home. Right, that is good. That is good. That one's trimming there. But what I'm going to do here is I am going to re-baseline. So if I cut that back just a little bit, because I've got so much excess on this that while I trim just a little bit too much, I'm able to now see that I can just move the plate a bit further forwards onto the door and everything lines up again. Right, that's good. That's good. That wants to come off there. We just draw around there. So I'm going to need to take like a millimetre off along here. This is easier to do on the throatless shear, but to be honest I haven't got the patience. I have to keep stopping videoing to go and get the throatless shear, so I'm using the hand shear, whatever it's called. These, by the way, bought these off Paul the Mac Man. Look at that, Irwin shears. These are fucking beautiful, these are. Very nice, happy with those. Right, that sort of fits. That just wants a smeg cutting off there. Smeg is actually a recognised measurement. We never let on to the EU about the smeg, because they would have just fucking beaten us mercilessly over it. And where's the fucking fun in that? Well, they don't want us to have fun, do they? Right, that's actually starting to look like it might fit in there. What I need to do is run the knife along there, because now I can see where I need to run, and probably just run the Dremel along there just to tidy that edge up. And here I'm going to need to take off a fair amount. Just the other side of that. Notice how when I'm thinking about doing something, my presentation skills drop through the floor. And whoever just said I ain't got any presentation skills to start with, you are absolutely correct. It is me. Well, I'm actually getting to within a gnat's fart of that thing fitting, so I need to Dremel that off. I need to Dremel here along this line, and I reckon this is going to be something that might work for me. So let's get this to Dremel. Now, what I'll do here, because what I'll do here is, because you can't see all of a sudden, let's do that. Put the door back over here. Let's take the Swager 8. I should do a proper demo of what this thing can actually do, because it is very useful. Once it's set up, like it has been for doing the recesses on the doors, once it's set up, it's actually very, very good. You don't really need to fuck around with it too much. I'm actually just going to try and a little bit of, here we go. Probably a bit soon for that. Just making that bit up again. That bit. Doesn't look bad, does it? Well, for something that I've made out of a piece of scrap steel using a £100 Swager that I got off eBay, Chinesium, special Chinesium. This was made by, it's just called a bead roller. And there are ways that you can make them electric and so forth, but it starts getting a bit kind of, you know, a bit too much. Sometimes, you know, for a tool you use infrequently, for now, which happens to all of us at our age. Most of our age. There'll be someone out there saying, I don't. Thank you. Right. Now, I actually need to trim the door, don't I? So let me get, these fuckers will do. Where's the thing with the scribbling into it? There it is. Don't look, folks. I'm going to use the Dremel. This thing is very useful. I mean, I could get the angle grinder out, but then the angle grinder cuts 1 mil thick. This cuts less. And I like it. And it's here. and the angle grinder is locked away. So that's the main reason I'm using it. Right. Now, when you are using one of these things, do not be in the line of fire, because these little discs, they break ever so easily. Look, they break ever so easily. If you're gentle with them, then you're okay. However, gentle and gentle. Whoops. Everything's falling off the bench. That's excellent. That is splendid. Come over here. Right, is this thing long enough? It's just about. About an inch. So then we've got to put the next disc in. The good thing is when they go, they don't leave anything in there, so you just undo the screw, do the screw back up again, and you can see that while I'm using it, I'm supporting it with my finger. Because obviously any movement back or forth or lateral or whatever is going to cause it problems. That got caught. You see what I mean about them flying off in your hand? Get this thing so it roughly fits. I shall zinc prime the inside, and I'm going to fuck off. Right, this is one big chunk of metal off. Two big chunks of metal off. Let me just double check where we are with this thing. So that needs to go like that. And I'm actually inclined to that bit there is going to be easy for me to trim. I said that it'd be easy to trim in the throat shear. I just wanted to take a millimetre off it, but the hand shear is not very good at that. Whereas this bastard is. So it's worth the walk. Pick me up at it. It doesn't matter if there's a 1mm gap around the repair pad, because I can fill that with weld. I still need to grind out these to make sure these are rounded. Watch again. Clank, clank, clank. I'm over here now. Right, so let's line that up. That sort of fits there. Now, let's run the knife along this top edge to see where we are. Well, quite a long way up there. So let me cut that bit off there. Oh, I wonder if the black discs last any longer. There's a black one here, rather than the brown ones. I've got no idea what these discs are for. I just took them out of the box. God's sake, Richard. You ham-fisted gibbon. Nope. Black one's a thicker. That's still warm. That's off. It's actually not bad. Let me now just so what I need to do here is cut a very, very thin slither off this bit, off this edge, or get the flat wheel on it. Ooh, stuck. So what it's actually doing is it's just mashing the metal. Let me go over to the other side. Well, that's pretty much as far as it's going to go. I'll seam all the way around the outside here, obviously straighten it out. That just wants a tiny bit more taking off there, not a lot though. And then I need to make round these sections out here for the door handle to go through, so it ends up looking like that. Okay, which I can get sorted out. But for now, that shows you, and once that's, because bear in mind it's dropped down a little bit, but shows you how I can recreate one of these ribs, which you can't see. It's better than a kick in the face, isn't it? Right, I'm going home because I've got to fix the dishwasher, I'm afraid. Well, there you go. That welded in quite nicely. Tiny skim filler up here. It will do the job. Welded in, it's like welding tinfoil up here, I can tell you. Welded it all in. My belt sander broke, unfortunately, so I wasn't able to flat that down or that down. But the rest of it was done with a flap disc. So I just need to get Steve to see what he can do with those before he paints them. He's got a better belt sander than I have. But what's effectively happened with Mr. Belt Sander is there's this roller bearing on the end here, and it's, yeah, broken in a nutshell. So what I'm going to do is going to drill these two pop rivets out. We've got digressed here into, drill these two pop rivets out here, take the roller ball off the end there, measure a new one, get a new one, screw it back into place again. I reckon I'll do a video on that, I think. How to keep shit going. Oh, it's done good service, that belt sander as well.